What's up everybody, and welcome back to another Cooker Cartea recipe video. Look, let me start off by saying happy holidays. This is the first recipe of 2026. Look y'all, we made it through 2025. Look, we here, 2026. Now, look, we in the Midwest. It's chilly, it's cold, it's past chilly, it's cold outside, it's freezing. So it's that time. We got the right recipe today for y'all. Look, y'all seen in that thumbnail, we're gonna be making that chicken noodle soup today. So we got our ingredients laid out right here in front of us. We got egg noodles, no yolk. Then we got stuff like, we got a yellow onion right here. We got some fresh herbs. We got rosemary. We got thyme right here. We got some carrots, got some green onions. We got celery. We got some chicken broth. We got our seasoning off to the side. I'm gonna show y'all, you know, like we always do as we go on. And then right here, look, we got our rotisserie chicken right here on the side. This supposed to be kind of like, you know what I'm saying, a kind of quick put together meal. So you grab you a rotisserie chicken, or if you want to cook some chicken breast, or you know, however you want to do it like that. But look, if you want to go ahead and grab, you know what I'm saying, a quick option, grab you a rotisserie chicken. We're gonna chop this up, we're gonna shred it up a little bit. Rotisserie chicken, it's already packed with a lot of good flavors too anyway. So look, I'm gonna show y'all how we're gonna get down with everything. So we're gonna go ahead and get into the recipe. We're gonna start off by prepping a little bit, and we're gonna get it going. Let's get it. All right, y'all, so like I said, we're gonna go ahead and just get this prep out the way, go ahead and get our vegetables chopped up. We got our onion, we got one yellow onion, boom. So we got our celery right here. Got our green onions, we're gonna chop those up too. And then we got our baby carrots right here. You can use whole carrots, but since I already had these, I'm gonna just go ahead and just make it easy and just chop these up. So we're gonna start off, let's go ahead and just give our celery a chop up. Chop off those ends because I don't want them. And then we're gonna chop up the celery two different ways. We kind of gonna do a half and half. We're gonna do bigger chunks where we just gonna chop. You know, we kind of want these size chunks right here. Now I'll probably do a little bit more, but then I'm gonna just show y'all how we're gonna do the other ones. So we're gonna make some smaller ones, kind of like these in half a little bit. So we're gonna take one piece of celery, we're gonna go right down the middle. And we kind of just gonna split this stalk in half, like that. And then we're just gonna come and we just gonna make little those smaller cuts of celery. Our veggies right here, carrots, celery, and then we got our green onions right here. Now, put them all in the same container. It's gonna just make it easier because, oh, and then we got our onions off to the side, our yellow onions off to the side too. But we gonna throw all these in, you know what I'm saying, cook them down, stuff like that anyway, so it just make it easier. One pan, one dish, boom, throw it all in there. But we gonna get there. We got our whole rotisserie chicken right here. Now look, like I said, y'all, you know, do it however you want to do it, but this just make it easier. Again, rotisserie chicken, you know, it's already packed with a lot of flavors anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and just get this a carve. Now, mainly what I want is I want the chicken breast. So we're gonna take the chicken breast off. I'm gonna put a little bit of dark meat in there too. But I mainly wanna go chicken breast with it. So we're gonna take our chicken breast off and we just gonna shred it, you know, chop it up a little bit, and we're gonna be done with the chicken part. So let's go ahead and just do that. Kind of slice towards the middle. We want to get as much of that chicken off the bone as, you know, we can. So we kind of want to start in the middle, just make, you know, a little slice or whatever. And then you're gonna come to start to slice on an angle. And get it off nice and clean like that. Boom. And we're gonna do the same thing with the other side. You still got a little bit of chicken, you know what I'm saying, left on here. You could just kind of slice it off, or you could kind of just pick at it and, you know, just pick the rest of this little, you know, the rest of this chicken, because we want all the meat. Balls. All right, y'all, so look, everything prepped. We got our veggies right here. We got our chicken back here. So boom, we're good on that. Now, we got our pot. Everything is gonna happen right here in this pot. We're gonna go ahead and get the cooking. So we're gonna start off on a medium high. And we wanna go ahead and get some oil in here. Then we're gonna start our vegetables. So we're gonna start off with some onions. And then we're gonna get our carrots and we're gonna get our celery in there as well. So we got everything in our pot. We're gonna start them off, we're just gonna start to cook them down a little bit. We got our carrots in there, we got our celery in there, we got our green onions in there, and then we got our yellow onions in there. So we're gonna start to cook them down a little bit. We don't wanna cook them down too much, but they firm right now. It's cold vegetables, and we don't, we want kind of like, we do want a firm bite, when we do get that in our soup or whatever, but we don't want crunch like too much of it. We want just a little bit of texture on there. So we just gonna give them a little bit of a go. We're gonna start them off, and then we're gonna go ahead and get our chicken broth and the rest of our ingredients in there. So look, we don't got much left to do. All we gotta do is really cook down these vegetables. We get our broth in there, we get our rest of our ingredients in there. Our chicken is done already. And then we cover it up, we get our noodles going. Look, it's gonna be easy. So let's do it. All right, so we letting those vegetables cook down. We have probably about high medium right now, just at first, just to start off with. But we kind of at a good place. So what we want to do now is we want to bring in some garlic. Garlic is the last thing that we're going to throw in because we don't want to burn none of the garlic. And we're gonna bring our heat down to about a medium now. Just work that garlic in there. Let that start to blend. We reduce the heat, like I said, we down to a medium. So now what we can go ahead and do, we can just throw that chicken back in there. As y'all already know, the chicken is cooked already. So we don't gotta do too much to the chicken. So we just let that work. We don't wanna do too much to it. Like I said, right now we back down to about a medium. And we just wanna get some heat on it. Let everything come together, blend together. And then now we're gonna go ahead and get our chicken broth in there. So now we're gonna start to, bring all our flavors together, our ingredients together, and start to get them to that boil. And we just kind of just finish everything off. So we're gonna go ahead and get all this chicken broth in here. Probably add about 2 cups of water in addition to it. And then we wanna go ahead and crank this heat up because we wanna bring this to a boil. And then as we finalize our ingredients and the rest of the thing, our seasonings, and then we still gotta throw in our fresh herbs and stuff like that too. We're gonna throw that stuff in there. And then the last thing that we're gonna throw in there is our noodles. So that's why we wanna go ahead and just let this get to a boil. We get our noodles in there for about 8 minutes. We're gonna let them boil, let those noodles cook, get a good texture on those. And then we're gonna bring our heat down and kind of just get to a simmer. Now we pretty much gonna be done, y'all. As our heat is climbing up and we starting to get some good heat, we get into that boil point. We're gonna start adding in all of our seasonings. We're gonna start adding in our all-purpose seasonings, salt, pepper, everything that come in our all-purpose seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder. We're gonna add in a little bit more chicken bouillon just to amp up that chicken flavor, give it a little bit more flavor. In general, we're gonna add in some more herbs like oregano, basil. We're gonna add in some Italian seasoning, and we're gonna add in some ginger, and we're gonna add in a little bit of smoked paprika. The last thing that we're gonna do before we add our noodles in is we're gonna add in our fresh herbs like our thyme and our rosemary. And then once we get to that boiling point, then we're gonna go ahead, let's get those noodles in there, get those blended up with everything, smelling real good. And then we're gonna cover that up, like I said, for about eight minutes. Cover it up, let them do their thing. All right, y'all, welcome back. So look, as y'all can see, chicken noodle soup is complete. We done. We added in the rest of those ingredients. Did add a little bit. I probably added maybe like 3 or 4 more cups of water because I wanted to use the whole thing of noodles. Now, if you only want to use a little bit of the noodles or whatever, you know, depending on your serving size, however you want to do it, you wouldn't have to add as much water. But like I said, I did add maybe about like 3 or 4 more cups of water. We got a nice warm, nice hearty vegetable. Look, chicken broth smelling real good. Let's just go ahead and get this in a bowl. We're gonna go ahead and plate up and we're gonna see what it's talking about. Cause it's smelling real good right now. Look, it's the New Year's, like I said, so you know, if y'all on that little diet or whatever, however y'all trying to do it, y'all trying to start it off right. Look, you can't go wrong with this. You got that chicken broth. Make sure you get some of that chicken broth in there too. Alright y'all, chicken noodles is nice and hot. Make sure I get some vegetables. I want to get a little bit of everything on that bite. A little bit of that broth too. Smelling good. Yo, you taste those flavors, you taste those herbs. It's not too much going on. It's a nice, good chicken noodle soup meal. Look. Make sure y'all make this at the crib. Now, thank you for coming back, tuning in for another Cook Cartea recipe video. Look, we got a lot more content. Like I always say, we got some more recipes, some more videos that's gonna be on the way. Look, we going up. We're trying to hit 2,000 subscribers. We already hit 1,000 late into last year. Look, we're trying to go up higher and higher. Let's get to 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Let's just keep going up. Thank y'all for all y'all support. And look, we'll see y'all back on the next Cook Cartea recipe video.